My name is Tommy, and I am an addict. I'm grateful to be in a meeting of Narcotics Anonymous, especially in Omaha, Nebraska. First, let me say that I've never been to Nebraska, and I'm impressed. Like, we pulled up, like I come from Kansas City. I thought there was going to be cornfields and all this, and we pulled up into a major city, right? Like, this is nice. This is nice. What a convention, what a hotel, what a city. Like, I haven't got to experience it, but I was really impressed, so bravo. What an honor to be asked to come speak anywhere in Narcotics Anonymous. That's what I was taught, is that you're asked, you should speak, you should be of service, and you should bring a Narcotics Anonymous message, right? And the Narcotics Anonymous message is found in the literature. It starts in the blue pages, the blue book. I've been asked to speak on the first step today, which some of you may know that have done this before, that the first step in anything is the most important step. Like, it's the most difficult, but the most important. And I'd be doing you a dishonor. Is there anybody new? Like, anybody in their first 90 days? Like, anybody new? Come on, raise your hand, man. Come on. So the literature says you're the most important person here, and I believe that in my heart. Like, you are the most important person here. You know, and this disease is killing people. It's never been more of a higher stakes. Like, people are dropping like flies, at least where I'm from, and I'm sure they are here. So it's never been more important to have a Narcotics Anonymous meeting wherever it's at, because there's hopeless dope fiends that need this message. And that's any addict, that includes you, can lose the desire to use and find a new way to live, right? And that's the good news. And I'm going to tell you, like, if I can, you guys with 90 days, like, you can. And I remember, like, not even the fog being cleared. Like, I remember that they're like, read these pages, and I'd have to read it a dozen times, and then I still couldn't really comprehend what I was reading. Like, I did a lot of stuff to my brain. I was delusional. Like, I had a close encounter with what I thought was the third kind. Like, they were following me. I was running. Let's be real. I say this for identification, because my addiction didn't start like that. You know, my addiction started like hustling and things like that, but it ended very badly with me injecting high levels of methamphetamines, running from people that weren't there, you know, running from myself, my children, my responsibilities, you know, running from life. And then the only thing that could ever stop me in my addiction was prison, jail, or a treatment center, right? And then I would stop for a while and have the very best intentions about life. And then as soon as I hit the streets, all bets off. You know, and I did this over and over and over. And it just said in the reading that she read is that, are we thoroughly convinced we're done? Like, that's prior to the first step. Like, I got to decide whether I'm done. I got to come in here and decide whether Narcotics Anonymous is for me. Because there's other recovery ways, right? Let's be honest. There's a lot of other things going on, and people recovering in different manners. This is Narcotics Anonymous. In Narcotics Anonymous, we get Narcotics Anonymous sponsors. Right? We do meetings, we do literature, right? We serve. Like, this is the Narcotics Anonymous way, you know. So I say all this to you, a newcomer, to say, if we can, you can. And you're never going to be alone again. Never alone. Like, I remember being alone in them hotel rooms, alone, or in that jail cell, alone, in that mental hospital, alone. You know, you don't never have to be alone again. Man. So the first step, man, I've heard, so let me give you my clean date. I've been clean since March 5th, 2015. I'm about, I don't know what's the 22nd, 11 days out of a decade. And I can't believe it, because I'm a special kind of stupid. Right? You know, I'm a special kind of stupid. The drugs were just one problem. Like I had a multitude of problems, and I thought that giving up the drugs would fix them. It turns out I was all jacked up. I found out in the 6th and 7th step. And then I'm still jacked up. And that I cope with feelings and things in a manner that's not normal, that I have a disease. So prior to the first step, like, I've heard a lot of sharing about the first step. I've heard a lot of things. Like, I've been going to a lot of meetings. I've been all over. And one of the things that I heard a guy say one time is that if I took off from here and I was headed to LA, and this is how important the first step is, right? The very first step you take in this thing needs to be right on point. Because if I was off just this much and I was walking to LA, I might end up in Oregon. Right? I might end up in Oregon. Like if I start driving the wrong way, like I might end up in Oregon. Right? But this is the process of recovery, and it's uniquely to all of us. This is not a race. I encourage you to slow down. I get a lot of sponsees that come in. They ask me to sponsor them. Like, come on, I'm ready to work the steps. I'm like, dude, you haven't hit 90 and 90 yet? Like, you haven't even read the first few chapters, but you're ready to jump into steps. You know, so it's a process of recovery, you know, and if we don't use today, we're still in the process. You know, I tell my sponsees, like, I need you to get down just showing up. Just keep coming back. Worry about just doing 90 meetings in 90 days. Worry about calling somebody. Get used to the other things in Narcotics Anonymous. Sure, the steps is a huge part of Narcotics Anonymous. But the network, the meetings, the events, like it's the whole package that got me clean. It's a whole package that keeps me clean. Because I've been through some things in Narcotics Anonymous. I've lost my mom. I've lost my brother to overdose, fentanyl overdose in a prison. Like, I've been through some things in Narcotics Anonymous, but I've not had to use yet because Narcotics Anonymous shows up for me. So get used to Narcotics Anonymous, right? Like, I'm not telling you to stall. Do whatever your sponsor says. If he says you need to get into the steps, do that. I'm just not one to rush. You know what I mean? I'm just not one to rush. I think you should take your time and get your feet on the ground, get your brain clear before you jump off into the steps. And like I said, if you're a millimeter off, but this is the beautiful thing about Narcotics Anonymous. This is why we have a sponsor and a network. If I'm a little bit off in step 1, by step 3, my sponsor can correct me and put me back on the path, and I can still get to LA. Right? Narcotics Anonymous gives me an opportunity to fail, right? And then somebody to help me to get back on track, because I still fail. Like I still have defects. I just said it, like I still fail, but I don't get high. My failures, that's all I used to do was get high. That's how I coped with my failures. My failures as a father, my failures in life, is I poured drugs on them. So in the first step, you've got to make a decision. First, is Narcotics Anonymous for you? You know, is Narcotics Anonymous for you? And then if it's you, then you got to make a decision to work a Narcotics Anonymous program. And I just said, how do we work a Narcotics Anonymous program? We get a sponsor. We go to meetings. We work those steps. Right, the most important part, this is the one I struggle with. It came to unmanageability. I don't know anybody that was really showed up at Narcotics Anonymous and was managing things very well. You know what I mean? The unmanageability in my life was evident by the handcuffs, the warrants, the times that I would go from city jail to city jail to city jail to city jail before I was released. The not being a father, all these things were very evident. The unmanageability. But I thought I had the illusion of some sort of control. Like over and over, I would lose everything, become delusional, run from somebody, get a job, get back on my feet, and then lose it again and lose it again. And this is the cycle. And I say this all to say when it says in the literature, after great research, I came to the conclusion that I can't get high successfully. So step 1 was explained to me one time by a guy too, because I understand this. I've been in and out of prisons and jails my whole life. Is he says surrender is like when the cops finally catch up with you and they have your gun on you and they're like, freeze. And he says, what do? Well, I know what I do. I go like this and I get down on the ground. That's the kind of level of surrender that Narcotics Anonymous is going to take. In order for this program to work for you, like, you're going to have to surrender every thought you have about recovery and realize what they told me when I came here. And my sponsor still says it. You don't know shit. Like, you don't know shit. If I want to know how to get high, I'll ask you. Right? If I want to know how to F up my life, I'll ask you. And that's tough reality. Like, I need tough truths, man. I got a sponsor that's got 37 years, right? But he has no problem telling me the truth. He doesn't care. He would rather deliver me the truth than see me suffer and die. You know, and to be honest, now that I look back, I didn't know shit. I still don't know shit about some of the stuff that I'm in. You know, I just do the very best I can every day, and I leave the results to my God and my understanding. You know, I get up and I try to practice principles. You know, these principles, these steps give you, I don't know what your coping skills were prior to Narcotics Anonymous, but I can tell you what mine were. F you, F this, and F that. Right? Like, that's my go-3. Like, okay, what's going on? Well, F you, F this, F that. You know, I'm out of here, and then I'm in jail, and then I'm suffering the consequences. Narcotics Anonymous has given me the opportunity to reinvent my coping mechanisms. Right? I can cope with acceptance. I can accept who you are, what you are, how you are, and it's none of my business. right? I can do love, tolerance. Like I've been the opportunity, because that's the meat and potatoes behind these steps. That's what it's giving you. Like if your thing is F you, F this, and F that, which if I'm in a room full of addicts, I know that was most of our coping mechanism. What an opportunity to replace it with things that could change your life. So when I change it with that, I get different results. So surrender for me was the hard part. Because I could get a sandwich in me, a haircut, get into the recovery house, get 2 paychecks, have a little fling on the side. Man, I don't know about step 2 or step 3, man. I really like 1 and 2, but I don't think 4 even sounds like it's for me, right? I don't know, but I think this is how bad my addiction was. And I could still fool myself. I think I'd have wrote that a little different, right? What? My sponsor, sit down and shut up. You don't know shit. You don't know shit. You know what I mean? Because I could fool myself. I could get clean. It's real easy to be desperate and willing, and when you're broken down and beaten up. When you haven't had a haircut, when you smell, you stink. You've been running from people for 3 days, right? It's real easy to be desperate. But then once you get cleaned up, my ideas start coming back. I got ideas again, man. Hold on, man. I'm not broke. Hold on. I got this figured out, dude. And it's in those moments that I had to figure out how to surrender, right? And I went through a recovery home that taught me things that somebody should have taught me as a kid. Both my stepdads were indicted for manufacturing methamphetamines. My dad was on crack cocaine. My mom was 19 when she had me. By the time I was 17, I was in a maximum security prison. So I was raised either by the streets or the prisons, right? And lo and behold, I became a drug addict criminal. I spent most of my adult life in and out of prisons. I had a couple kids that were basically hostages, right? And I say hostages because I wasn't a father. I remember, this is the selfishness of your disease. And I remember going to get my children and taking them out to Chuck E. Cheese or taking them someplace, right? But now that I've gotten honest with myself and I put a pen to a pad and I worked the steps of Narcotics Anonymous, I know that it had nothing to do with my children. I wanted to feel like a father that day. That day, it was about how I felt. I wanted to be able to tell my mom and my baby mama, I took the kids out, I took them shopping. And it had nothing to do with their well-being or how they were going to be or it had nothing to do with my kids. Everything in my life had to do with me. Everything. The self-centeredness and the selfishness of this disease is the root of it. Right? And the steps is a way to dig into your selfishness and get it out of you. Because if we don't, we're bound to get high. And it's tough. It's tough because I'm hungry. I'm horny. I need some shoes, right? It's tough to not want more. It's human nature. It's completely contrary to who we are. But the cure is in the steps, man. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the meat and potatoes for me. The thing about a first step is it's not just something that you're going to work one time and be done. It's something that I got to get up every day and do. I got to surrender to life. And what I mean by this is an application in your applicable life of how to apply surrender, right? And this is what it was taught to me. How do I apply surrender when it comes to my PO? She says, be there at 9 o'clock. I'm there at 9 o'clock. She says, don't use drugs. I go in and I drop a clean UA. The judge says, be here at 1:30 next week. I surrender, and I'm there at 1:30 next week. And guess what? I get reactions. I get consequences out of life contrary to the ones we used to get when we didn't show up, when we were late, when we were high. I don't go to jail. I just surrendered to life. Right? I drop clean. Right? I don't get a warrant for my arrest. And this is applying surrender in your life. See, these 12 steps aren't just to be read on the wall. I have to take these into the community, into my life, and go out here and live them. Because the consequences that I got out of my life, the way that I was living, was the problem. I dug myself such a deep hole that I couldn't get out of it. And this is the key. This is why you always work a first step. Is I have to get up and surrender to life every day. Because I wasn't raised to pay your car insurance. We didn't have insurance. We didn't pay our gas bill in the winter because Mom said they can't shut it off till March. Right? And then you go get someplace to try to pay it when it starts to get cold again. This is the life skills that I was raised with. But so I have to get up and surrender to the way life was built. Because this Narcotics Anonymous program is not just for the rooms. It's for going out into the world and coping with life without getting high. How do I cope with life without getting high? I take these principles out there, I apply them to my life as I'm living it, and then I come in here and talk about it. Whether I got to talk, scream, cry, or yell, whatever I got to do inside of Narcotics Anonymous. But I go out there and I apply these skills to my life. These life skills, these principles, standards, morals. And they told me when I came in that I could reinvent my morals. That I could be the kid that I wanted to be when I was growing up. The one that my grandma wanted me to be. Right? That I could reinvent who I am. What an opportunity to live 2 lifetimes in one. One that I completely flushed down the toilet. What an opportunity. Like, we're alive today. Somebody died last night, I guarantee it. Somebody's taking their last shot of dope right now. This disease is killing people, man. I don't know how it looks here, but it's ugly there. Like, it's ugly in Kansas City. Kids dying, people going to jail, feds. Like, somebody got indicted today. Somebody got sentenced today. I'm grateful to be in Narcotics Anonymous. Man, I've never been more grateful to be in Narcotics Anonymous. Because the way I got high, I'd have died. Like, it didn't matter. Like, oh, you got, what is it? Let me put some water on. Let me try that out. Like, I'd have died, man. This fentanyl thing is crazy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy what's going on, and we got an opportunity to come in here and be a beacon of light for broken people, for broken people, because that's what I was when I came into Narcotics Anonymous. I was a broken person, So surrender is the first part that I get to apply in my life, and I say I get to apply in my life that gives me better results out of life, and I don't have to get high over life. The same children that I ran off on, and this is the process of Narcotics Anonymous, because this is probably my biggest achievement, because I've done pretty well. Narcotics Anonymous has gifted me with a new life, and I've done pretty well in areas because I surrender it to my God. But the biggest accomplishment that I got all of this is them same kids that I ran off on and were in jail and in prison on. My son, I remember a story, and he tells it vividly. They had one of those dad days at school, and everybody's dad was there and things, and they're like, "Hey, where's your dad?" And, he was young, like 10 years old. My dad's in jail. Crazy. My son, thanks to the recovery program, Narcotics Anonymous, the recovery house that I was in, when he was 15 years old, his mom called me and said she was done with him, and my God had finally placed me in a position to receive my son. My son came and lived with me. You don't even realize, we don't even realize the depth of what we're doing to our children. Okay, this is the process of recovery. Like, I remember him trying to light the charcoals at the house. And like, boy, you don't know how to light the charcoals? He's like, my dad wasn't there to teach me. Right? I remember messing with the car stereo. I'm like, you don't know how to do that? Nah, my dad wasn't there to teach me. Like, and these are things at 5 years clean that I'm going through clean. Thank God I'm clean. Thank God I got a sponsor that went through this. Thank God that I got a network of men around me that went through this, because these are feelings and emotions I don't know how to deal with. Like, all that stuff I was running with becomes real, very real. Very, very real when you're looking at that boy and you didn't teach him. So guess what I got to do? I got to show him how to start a charcoal, right? I got to show him how to live life. Like, he's 23 years old right now, pregnant with my second granddaughter. Somewhere along the way, like, Narcotics Anonymous made me into a parent for these children. And all 5 of my children ended up with me. Like, all 5 of them ended up in a home that I bought and worked for because of Narcotics Anonymous. I'm blessed with a family business that 3 of my children work for me. You know what I mean? Like my time. And this is because of Narcotics Anonymous, man. 10 years ago, I was running from people that weren't there. 10 years ago, I was spooked, man. They're on me for that $250 in my shoe and that rig that I got hidden in that backpack, man. My whole life was a backpack. Anybody ever had their backpack stole? Come on, man. Like, whoa. Like, that was like the worst day in the world, Dude, the addiction's a crazy thing. I was talking to somebody the other day, man. And in a regular day, a person might have a high speed. Somebody is fighting in the drug house. Like there's a shooting. You know what I mean? People get arrested. Like, all in one day. I can't imagine one thing like that happening to me today. Like, I would probably freak out. Like, that's how detached I am from that. I would probably be like, oh my God, like, what just happened? But that was just a regular day. Like, everything was cool. Everything was fine. You know, I just can't imagine what we get used to in Narcotics Anonymous, man. You know, like I said, these children live with me, man. I have a beautiful wife. I got a beautiful life, man. Something that I never thought. The $57,000 in child support that I had when I came into Narcotics Anonymous is over. Like, it's gone. It's behind me. I say all this because when you're standing there looking at that first step, the staircase looks really long. The hole you're in looks really deep. I was 10 months in going to meetings when I got pulled over leaving a meeting. And guess what? It was time to go take care of them warrants. Nobody in the car even knew I had a warrant. I said, hey, guys, I'm going to jail. They're like, what? Well, I got felony warrant, about 12 other city warrants, man. But those are behind me. Like, that's behind me. You know, and I surrendered to life on life's terms today so that I don't create more warrants. Like, I pay my insurance. I go to work on time. If the boss says wash dishes, that's what I'll do is I'll wash dishes. You know, like, I remember I was 9 months clean and I had a job at Applebee's. And this is when my rights kick in. I don't know if your rights have ever kicked in, but I got this job. It took me 4 weeks to find a job. I'm about to get kicked out of the recovery house. Like, I'm praying and I'm acting, you know, I made a fake resume. Like, I was in food service the last time I was in prison. You know what I mean? Like, anybody ever had to make a fake resume? Come on, now I know I'm not alone, man. Like, I'm putting this resume together hoping that they don't call the number that I made up. And I'm fighting for this job, and I get a job $10 an hour at Applebee's. Right? And I'm so happy. I call my sponsor. Like, he's sharing in the other room in a few minutes. And I'm like, man, I got this job. Rah! You know, I call him 6 months later because I'm a cook. They hired me to cook. And then they try to get me to wash some dishes. I called him. I said, man, I'm about to quit this job. The heck with these people. I'm not a dishwasher. I'm a cook. And I'm good, man. I'm a good cook. What do you mean wash the dishes? This is why you need a sponsor in your life to tell you the truth. He said, shut the fuck up. He said, you want to go back to jail? You want to be homeless? Do you want to pay your recovery house rent on Friday? He said, shut the fuck up and wash some dishes, man. And I'm like, oh, man, I need to wash some dishes, you know? I need to wash them just because this is the thing, you know why I get up and I do it every day? I don't want to go back. That's why I asked this newcomer, man. Like, I remember how lost I felt. I remember how broken I was. I remember sitting in the back thinking that I could never get to where the person speaking was at. That's right? I remember thinking, it's just not going to happen for me. Man, it can happen for you. Dude, I've seen things in Narcotics Anonymous that would blow your mind. Like, I've seen just child support forgiven by judges. I've seen warrants just lifted. I've seen people come back from court. They're like, the judge just let me off today. And I'm like, well, you're doing the right thing. You know, right thing for the right reasons, man. And that's what's so crazy. It's so simple, but so hard for us. Right? Like, I tell people all the time, it's like a blue pill and a red pill in the Matrix. And you come into Narcotics Anonymous, and it's like you got cancer. And cancer's killing you. Right? Like we're dying out there. I don't know about you, but I was dying. I was 142 pounds. Like, I was dying, man. Very slow, miserable death. It's like I had a cancer. And then you come into Narcotics Anonymous, and they're like, hey, guys, this program has saved 2 million addicts. Right? It'll cure your cancer. You know what the addict said? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Did you see that guy? Right? I don't know if I'm like him. You know what I mean? Like, who does that? It's a disease concept, man. We got a disease that wants to kill us. It don't want you to get the cure. It don't want you to get better. Man, a disease that wants... What do you mean you don't know? Like, I'm sick and I'm dying. Thank God for surrender. You know, and I had to get beaten up really bad. Man. You know, I didn't come in here brimming with hope, and like I was completely broken. I thought I was a tough guy, prisoner, baller, car thief, and dude, I got beaten pretty bad. You know, in my last little spur, I was in a dope house that I had. The dope ran out. This is the first week of March 2015, and you know, I was 150 pounds. Like, everybody was gone. The stage was set, and my kid's mom showed up with my children, and they were younger then, and I wouldn't open the door. I don't know if anybody's ever been like on the other side of the door and you got your loved ones or your kids out there banging on it, and you don't want to answer. So much shame, so much guilt, man. Like, I didn't want my kids to see me because I looked so dang bad. You know, the man I'm looking in the mirror was just, it was bad. And they broke in. My kid's mom broke in, right? She broke in. Like, thank God she broke in, man, because she said something to me. So I still wouldn't come out of the bedroom. And like, I'm yelling in the hallway. I'm like, you're not coming back here. Don't bring my damn kids back here. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. You know how emotional we get. Like I'm a time bomb waiting to blow up on somebody, man. And I wouldn't face my kids. I wouldn't face my kids, man. And she looked back down that hallway and she said, you're better than this. And I thought, God, man, there's just something about it. There's these moments that you have in your life. And I don't know if you've had one, but there's these moments where shit just gets real. You know, and I sat down on that bed, man. I said, man, all the guilt, all the shame, like I'm crying, I'm bawling, you know. And I consider myself a tough guy. Like at the time, I considered myself a gangster. And like, I'm broken, man. And I remember I called out to my God, to my understanding. I said, I need help. I need you. I can't. You know, I called a local treatment center in our area. And the lady on the phone, she said, sweetheart, when she did this whole assessment, she's asking me all these questions, you know. She said, it's going to be 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. We got a waiting list. I said, ma'am, I'm going to die. I said, I had a high-speed chase last week. I hit somebody at 65 miles an hour, you know. I said, I'm going to die. I'm injecting high levels of methamphetamines, anything I can get my hands on. She said, sweetheart, there's a waiting list. And I'm like, man. So I get off there, I'm defeated, I'm lost. I'm like, man, I tried, you know. Thank God there wasn't no drugs there because I'd have probably used. 2 days later, you know what I mean, she called me back at 8 in the morning. She said, somebody didn't show up. Can you be here by 9? Right? That was March 5th, 2015, you know. I walked into that treatment center with that backpack. I told y'all about that backpack. Stolen charges, stolen clothes. I don't even know if the stuff was mine. I didn't even have a hat. And you'll never see me without a hat. Dude, I was so beat up when I got there. But I did that 28 days, man. That 28 days changed the game. You know, in that 28 days, they suggested I go to a recovery home. I went to a recovery home. Recovery home's not... Dude, don't rush through the recovery home process. I was there 3 years, 8 months. 3 years, 8 months I spent in that place. Learning how to make my bed, learning how to wash dishes, learning how to do my own laundry. My entire life, if I could get you to do it and I didn't have to, whether it was dope, drugs, manipulation, or just violence, right? I didn't have to do nothing. I didn't want to do nothing. I had to learn to do all these things. They made me make my bed. At the place that we stayed at today, I made the bed before I left. It's the first right thing I do before I leave, man. I started to build characteristics that a man should have taught me at a young age inside this recovery house. You know, at the 3 year, 8 month mark, it's the second I moved into another program for homelessness to help you rebuild yourself. That's the week my son came and got with me. You know, since then, it's just been a roller coaster of things that have led me to here. The opportunity to come tell you the good news is that if I can, you can. No matter what. All these cliches that I thought was crazy, man. But you know what? No matter what's one of my favorite. Like when my mom died, no matter what got real, it wasn't a cliche. It wasn't a cliche no more. Because that was my reservation. When I come in here, I thought, man, I could do a lot of things. Like, I ain't worried about nothing. I've been through the trenches. But if my mom dies, you know, my mom died, man. Narcotics Anonymous showed up at the funeral. Right? Like, I mean, when I say showed up, I don't mean I mean showed up like this. Tommy, what can we do? What do you need? We're here. Let me hug you. You know, I've never had people show up like that. You know, when I went back to take care of them warrants at 10 months clean, these people came and visited me from this home group. Like I was getting visits in jail. They sent me money for the phone. Guess what? When I walked out the door, they were there. Took me straight to a meeting, man. You know, Narcotics Anonymous is an amazing thing, man. And if you're not utilizing Narcotics Anonymous, like I said, there's so much more than the steps. Like, we're people. We're people from different homes, different families, broken places. We're people from different eras. But we get to be here for each other, man. If you ain't got you some Narcotics Anonymous, man, I suggest you get some. You know? It works, man. I can't tell you how or why it works. Like, I wanted to discredit this thing in the beginning. I thought, man, I don't know about this, man. I don't know. Man, Narcotics Anonymous has not failed me, man. I searched and searched and searched for the right remedy, the right level of pills mixed with methamphetamines, the right level of a couple of shots of whiskey to go with my drink to get high successfully. Man, if I could have figured out how to get high successfully, I'd have never quit. Like, I like to get high. I think we all like to get high. Like, I like to get high, right? Like, if I could have figured it out, you wouldn't see me today, man. But the truth is, I couldn't figure it out. I used to be mad at the people that could, right? We were on the way up here talking, man. Like, dang, that guy can get high and go to work. Like, wow, you know, you're a ninja in my book. You know what I mean? Like I had every intention to go to work, but I'm not going to make it to work. You know? I can do nothing but get high, dude. Like, nonstop till the dope's gone. And then I need some more. Like, and if I have to rob, steal, I'm going to get it, man. The first step's the most important step, man. Make sure you're stepping in the right direction. Make sure you have a sponsor. I talked to this guy the other day. He asked me to sponsor him. He got out of jail, and he calls me. He's like, yeah, I started working step 1. I said, you did? I said, you got a home group, bro? You know, like, have you even been to a meeting? You went straight into the recovery house. You know, have you done anything? Well, what do you think? I think you should slow down, man. Slow down. This ain't a race, man. This is a marathon. Narcotics Anonymous is a marathon. You know, I never thought I could make it 10 days, let alone 10 years, man. This is a really pivotal year for me, man. 10 years without a drug. So I just can't even fathom all that's happened in my life in 10 years, man. I'll say this, like that my life today, like and I used to hear people say this when I was broke and making $10 an hour, and they're taking child support. They mean, I'm living this life bigger than I ever dreamed. And I thought, oh God, shut up. You know what I mean? I'm on the bus at 3 years. Like, I was on the bus for 3 years because I messed up my driver's license privileges. You know, and that's surrender. Like, I'm not going to drive. You know, like, I'm not going to drive. Like, you have to apply this thing to your life. If you're not applying it to your life and you're in here just drinking coffee and talking shit, and then you're out there beating your wife, acting crazy, doing dumb stuff, then you're not living the Narcotics Anonymous program, man. Like, this program can and will change your life. Once again, I'm grateful to Nebraska for having me come up here and speak, man. What an honor to come speak at a convention. What an honor to come talk to y'all. I want to end with this. They're giving me the tap out sign. Any of you new people, does everybody here have a Narcotics Anonymous book? Raise your hand if you don't got a book. Seriously, you ain't gotta be shy. Like, I want to make sure that you have the literature, right? I want to make sure that somebody gets you a Narcotics Anonymous book, because the cure to that cancer is in them pages. Right? You're going to find out that in 1953, somebody wrote about you before you were ever born. Well, unless you're real old, like my sponsor. You know what I mean? But I want to make sure, I want to buy you guys a book. So get with me after this thing. We're going to find the books. You guys got some books for sale here? I want to make sure that you have a book, man. And we're going to put some phone numbers in it, dude. And I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to get what's given to me. Yes, sir. Thanks for letting me share. Okay, you ready?